Hey there, everyone. It's Bounty Hunt Day. Glad you're here. This is Bounty Hunt, a Mutiny Network. I can't do it the whole time. What's up? Welcome to Bounty Hunt, a Mutiny Network podcast where we hunt down all the extra content in the Star Wars universe. I'm one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me on this week's hunt are two of the best batchers that have ever batched. We have the baddest batch in the world, Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, dude.
What the hell kind of intro was that?
It's a chemically induced energy drink intro.
Oh man, it's been a wild weekend, guys. I got bullied out of a campsite by a bridezilla this weekend. My wife's birthday. Been driving around a whole lot. Been sweating all morning, working on the camper. Man, it's been a hell of a day. But it's here. It's Bounty Hunt, baby.
I'm so stoked. It has been a weekend. I also went to a wedding with a different bride that was very nice, so I'm glad about that. But unfortunately, it was not the glorious... No, wow, I missed it. Wes is here. Dang it.
That was a batchin' good intro. Thank you, Eric.
It was
What's going
rough.
on, everyone? We're uber busy on Sunday, and we did some outside things today, and now we're inside, and damn it, the air conditioner feels good.
Oh, I assume so. Yes, everyone, if you are new to Bounty Hunt, what an episode to start. We're glad you're here. This is our recap show of all the extra shows that go on Disney Plus and the like. Today, we're going to be talking about Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 13, Infested. This will be a full spoiler show, so if you have not watched the episode, proceed at your own risk. I'm not going to tell you you have to watch it. You can just want to hear us talk. That's fine. Live your life. Know your truth. We're going to briefly recap what happened in the episode. We're going to chat about it. We're going to rate it and just have a good old kickback, relaxing time. Before we get started, though, I want to give a shout out, not a sponsor, hashtag not an ad, to Her Universe for this awesome Bad Batch like Spirit Jersey-esque shirt that I got this weekend.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's lovely. There's a crazy sale for Comic-Con. It was like 30% off. Very comfortable. Highly recommend it. So there you go. That's that. All right. Without further ado, let us jump into what happened on episode 13, Infested. We begin with the Bad Batch returning to Ord Mantell, where there's been a mutiny. And they return to Sid's and find that Roland the Deveronian has taken over and he's working with the Pikes. Sid wants to get her territory back and plans to steal some spice from Roland's office, which is her old office. The team is persuaded by Omega to help her out, and they tunnel under the city in the mine shafts, and Sid tells them to not wake the hive. They don't, but you know what's coming. Meanwhile, Sid's weak way and Ithorian friends provide a nice distraction so the crew can grab the spice from her office, and they then go into a giant minecart chase where the hive rises. They're giant freaky bugs, and during this whole chase, there's blaster fire, and there's lights, and the spice is lost. That's the thing in Star Wars, right? You grab a spice, you throw it into space, you drop it down a mine shaft, it never gets where it's going. The Pikes then show up and demand their spice payment, and the Bad Batch has to recover it, or else the Pikes are going to kill Omega. They hold her for collateral. Tech then whips up a little flashbang canister to help them out, and the gang goes back down to the tunnels and recovers the spice despite the interruptions of the bugs. The Pikes then release Omega. They cut off of one of Roland's horns. We thought it was going to be his head, but not so much. And Sid reclaims her bar. All right, guys, as we always do, let's go around. Let's give this episode a rating 1 to 10. Corey, let's start with you.
I'm going to give this episode maybe the lowest score I've ever given an episode. I think I'm going to give this one a 6.5.
Corey!
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Dang.
Low
All right,
ball.
Wes?
How could you? I'm going to give this episode a 6.8.
All right.
Wow.
Wow, guys. All right. I guess I got to be the one. I'm going to round it out with also a 6.5. I did like this episode.
Thought for sure you were going to come in with like a 9.5 like you usually do.
No. This episode was interesting because, every week we like to talk in Discord and Slack about it. It's great to have a community to talk about the show. And our Slack channel for this episode, everyone was like, yeah, okay.
It happened.
That was the Bad Batch. And it's interesting because we're getting so late in the season, which we'll talk about. But I guess one of the things that really stuck with me, which led into me giving this a lower score, and I want to know if this added into you guys as well, Are you surprised that the Bad Batch is still just hanging out with Sid, even though their debt is paid off?
Yes. Why
Like,
are
what are
they
we doing?
still? I mean, nothing makes sense. We have 3 episodes left now, right? And this
Yeah.
made zero effort whatsoever to move the plot forward. So
Right. We
I don't
talked
know.
about it last time, how we were like, well, how we have what, 4 episodes left, or it was going to be 4.
It was going to be
episodes.
4, yeah.
We were
I
going to
think-
have like an arc here. We were going to start with the crescendo on the big
Nope.
finale, and we got a throwaway episode. Literally,
I know. I think
don't know.
this.
We don't know yet, though.
I think this
That's
is
true.
I think this is proof that there's going to be multiple seasons of the show, right? I mean, have they
Yeah.
have they
Yeah, I think
affirmatively
so.
said that yet? I don't think they have, right?
I don't remember what's an official and what's not. I know there's been
Yeah.
at least murmurings that it wasn't like a limited series. Like they didn't just make one. I think it
They
was
didn't market
definitely
it that
based on
way, that's for
popularity.
sure.
No.
Yeah.
I think there will definitely be more than one season.
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be because like we've learned nothing about Omega.
Yeah.
There's so much more.
Right.
I mean, there's surely this be more. If they just conclude the season after these next 3 episodes, I'm going to be like really shocked. Like,
Yeah. And I guess like on one hand, I was listening to Force Toast and I saw them tweeting some stuff out about like, the Bad Batch still needs credits in general, right? They need credits and connections. We was like talked about a while back to outrun all these bounty hunters. So I get they're doing missions for Sid to an extent, but narratively it is a bit confusing only because they put so much effort on, hey, you have this debt, you have this debt, you have this debt, and then they made a big show of Omega getting rid of it, and I was like, oh great! Like I think if they hadn't highlighted that, it wouldn't be as odd.
right?
But I think we've also been so impressed lately with the locales they've been going to, right? Like all these new planets have just been gorgeous, and we've been a little spoiled possibly, but then we're just like in the mines of Ord Mantell, and I'm like, it's not bad looking.
I know.
Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like, okay. Yeah, you're going to an office to grab drugs, which you drop, which I got to say, definitely had Martez sisters flashbacks when they dropped that spice. I'm like, can we just do a drug deal?
Yeah.
Please. Let's get one successful drug deal in Star Wars.
It was a very interesting way to get your domicile back, right? To get your business
Yeah.
back. It's to,
know.
hey, we're gonna go underneath into some old abandoned mines, and we're going to steal spice. And then
right.
just
Also,
and then like
why? Why is
yeah,
it there?
Tech
Why the
was
hell
like,
is it just
Tech
in
was
their
like, that's not
office?
going to do anything. You realize
Yeah.
that we're going to steal it, it's not going to do anything. It's like
Yeah.
they're going to come back and they're going to be really mad at the Deveronian, and then maybe they'll kick him out. It's like I don't understand that. Is they cut his horn off, and now Sid gets her parlor back. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't
He
know.
doesn't own it anymore?
Also, the fact that the spice disappeared. I mean, it's obviously going to be her, right? And
Yeah.
like, he just told the Pikes that it was her, and they were just like, "All right, we believe you."
Go get it.
I mean, screw you too.
go-
Like, it was a dumb plot. It was really dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't make a lot of sense, like start to
Well,
finish.
And it was odd because like I don't mind seeing the Pikes. Like the Pikes are interesting. The syndicates are cool. We'll talk about them in a second. But it's just yeah, it is the moment of there's so many ways it could have gone. Like I feel with the Bad Batch too, I am almost like, wouldn't it make more sense to do a co-op mission where they just go in and like, I don't know, kidnap Roland or like take back the base with an awesome like single camera action sequence because that's kind of their thing.
No.
Like it was a bit okay.
Bugs in
Yeah,
a
it was
minecart
just
chase, like that level of Donkey Kong Country.
yes. That's literally what it was. They're like,
Yeah.
Yes, right. And like, why did they do that? And also, like, Wrecker was really tired, but Sid wasn't. Did you notice that?
That was great.
Yeah.
Why?
When they first got to the end of they first got out of those carts.
Yeah, I guess Wrecker's
Wrecker
got
was
bad
super
cardio.
tired, and Sid was like, "I do this all the time. There's
yeah. Oh, you
no
mean
reason for you to be
yeah.
tired."
Wrecker, the genetically engineered super soldier, and then
Yeah.
Sid, like the bar owner. But like, yeah, okay. So some logic things were confusing. I also want to ask you guys about Omega here because we have been pretty good fans of Omega on the show. We really like her. She's a great, interesting character, especially as she's grown throughout the season. Like she's gotten a lot more capable. One thing we all have loved so much is that she has learned so many things. And I felt in this episode, she just got captured again, and they had to do it like this was like an episode 4 or 5 thing that used to happen. Was like Omega gets captured, so the Batch has to go get her, and Omega gets captured, and the Batch has to go get her. And now the Pikes are like, "Well, we're gonna kill Omega." They're like, "Oh, well, I guess we got to do this thing." Like, it felt circular in a way, and
It did.
Like,
yeah, the Pikes were like, "Hey, you stay with us, and then you go get my spice. But we have to keep Omega here." And she was like, "What if they realized like no?" And then I mean, they all could have shot them. They all could have shot him, but then there would have been probably like a war.
A war with the Pikes, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. But
not what
Crimson Dawn has a fragile alliance with the Pikes.
But if they killed all the Pikes that were present, there was no witnesses left.
Oh, they might bomb Ord Mantell if they don't check back in or something. Like, syndicates are weird.
Something like that.
Whatever.
Yeah, yeah, but again, it is a more it is like a more gymnastic-y episode, and like, no, I did like the bug thing. I'm not a huge bug person. The Geonosian arc in the Clone Wars is cool with like the mind control bug stuff. That's interesting. But these guys were just kind of like big creepy bugs.
Yeah.
And I like the flashlight thing. It's like very Lady Proxima-esque of like you can't let them see the light. I kind of wish we would have gone a little further in that. Where like we didn't get
a visual of them, right? We just saw a swarm and then green splatter.
I guess they have green blood. I guess you can say that, right?
We learned that.
Yeah. Let's talk about can we talk about Roland for a second? Like,
yeah.
Okay, interesting character.
Yeah.
Who the hell is he?
He's the son of another crime boss, right?
Are we supposed to care about him? Is there some other connection that I'm not aware of that you guys have seen?
Not that I've seen, at least online or at least in my knowledge, but I do think that the fact that he got his horn cut off and not his head cut off means he might show back up like Vizago and Rebels. Like, how he just pops up every once in a while. It's all these Deveronians.
How weird is that? How Vizago has his horn cut off too. Are they gonna? I mean, are they gonna be buddies?
Okay,
they have the
maybe
same...
that means. Yeah. Do you betray the Syndicate and then you get a horn cut off? Is that like an international symbol of like don't trust this Deveronian?
That could be it.
It's like the East India Trading Company brand on the wrist.
Yeah,
pirates,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the Deveronian horn is an expensive like spice, or they grind it up and they use it
grind
as
it up
like
and snort it. Yeah. Yeah, I know where you're going with it.
They use it as
that's an episode of
drugs.
That's an episode of Futurama. They call it the human horn. It's an aphrodisiac.
There you go.
That's what it is.
They sell it at gas stations worldwide.
It's like ivory or shark fin soup. That's what it is.
That could be something. I mean, yeah, and Roland by himself like isn't a bad character. He's just kind of neutral, and maybe he does become you guys help me out, so if you need another ally in the future season, call your buddy Roland. But Jacob, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, yeah, you helped me out, but you put me in this situation to begin with, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's give and take there, but it's like a 50-50 what they did to each other.
Do you guys think that they were right to help Sid?
I mean, morally, sure. I mean, she's just been an employer.
Yeah.
And
you'd think if the Bad Batch relaxed their morals, they could get a lot more done, Like, Omega's always there to be like, I think we should help them out because if they need help and you guys help out people, what's the difference, right?
The trope is getting a little old,
Omega,
too,
we're trying to make money.
I know.
We're trying to make money and we're trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
You know how many droids we killed before this and how easy our lives were?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Our best friend tried to light us on fire with an engine like 3 days ago. All right? Like, we're still dealing with some stuff.
But they're learning. I mean, at the very end, they're learning things, right? Because Hunter was like, why did you help the Deveronian, or what was his name?
Roland, which is also such a weird
Why did
name.
You help Roland, yeah. And he's like, because the little pet liked him. That's why. And he couldn't be so bad if Ruby liked him. And I was
which
like,
I got to say, that makes sense though. Pets know good people.
They do. That's true.
But it's just it's an odd choice to have like the Bad Batch have their moral compass where it is, because I think I'm not sure where exactly it is from episode to episode, and maybe that's intentional. Maybe we'll get a little more near the end of the season. But this one is like, is Omega just going to keep being like, hey, you need to help everyone. I don't care if they're a crime boss that tried to kill you or they're like, literal drug dealers. Like,
Right. She's just taking bumps in the back. She's like, I really like this stuff, so we have to help these people out. Hey, we need to help these guys because they're in trouble, and you help people who are in trouble.
yeah, they're really good businessmen. I'm just saying. So, all right. So
That's
let's
not
go.
true. The kid's like 12. Jesus.
Yeah, she's gonna be at least 14 for sure doing that stuff. So I want to ask you guys about the Pikes themselves, because the Pikes have shown up hilariously in the Martez Sisters episode, which we didn't super love.
That's
and
true.
in these episode, which we didn't super love. But I do still, like Trevor in the chat says, I do like seeing the Pikes, even though for some reason their episodes just don't do it for me. How do you guys feel about the Pikes and or the overall inclusion of the syndicates in Bad Batch?
I like the Pikes. They seem interesting. They have been portrayed as somewhat incompetent, I feel like, in
A little bit.
in a lot of the stuff we've seen them in.
And Solo, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Rebellion!
I don't know.
Solo, they were very snotty. They were very snotty on. They're just leaking out of their face. Is that what they usually do?
Yeah, it was leaking on
But-
Kessel.
Gross.
But the Pikes in this episode, those were their helmets, right? That's not their actual face.
Yeah, that's their helmets.
Their faces are different.
So, because we saw their helmets in the arc with the Mantell sisters, right? With Ahsoka. We
The
saw their
Martez
actual-
Sisters, yeah.
So, I mean, I like it. I like the crime syndicates being involved because we didn't. You don't get a lot of the crime syndicates in the shows, but you get a lot in the books. So if you haven't read it, then you get this is your like introduction to the crime syndicates. So that's probably that's a good little nudge to get people to start reading some different literature that has those crime syndicates outside of Solo, because that's one of the main ones that showed us about the Pikes, and then Concord Dawn. So
I think the crime syndicate story would do better in live action. Personally, I don't know that animation could make it gritty enough. Is my personal opinion.
I hear that.
I feel like that story has got to be really, really dark and gritty and stuff. I don't know if animation does it justice. We'll see if that ever happens.
Which, of course, like, Morden, what can I help you? Can I help you?
He says
Thank you, sir.
He doesn't like the Pikes either.
He does not like the Pikes. But like that's I agree, because I feel like it was John Kasdan, the writer of Solo, who was like, I think he basically admitted that the second Solo film was going to be a syndicate war. And like, I think that would have fit perfectly. I think that, from the AC Crispin trilogy, Han Solo and the syndicates always work so well together. I think that's just characters that work super well. I liked his dealing with Crimson Dawn, and clearly in the current War of the Bounty Hunters comic that's going on right now, as spoiler free as possible here, like the syndicates are getting big in a big way. Like they're very much emerging. They're becoming more of a thing, and I like that idea. But I agree that for some reason in the animation, I don't know. I feel like live action Pikes would have just decapitated him or shot him or did stuff.
True.
And because we've seen brutality in Bad Batch. We've even commented on some of the episodes have been a little intense. But there's just something with the crime syndicates that how far are they going to go? And if they're not going to go there, it's kind of an idle threat. Like next time we see the Pikes in Bad Batch, I'm going to be like, ooh, no, the Pikes.
Yeah. This could have been a great episode to introduce the bounty hunters that like Cad Bane or Fennec Shand. We could have got them like as the ones that are out there trying to get Roland, or ones that employed Roland to do that or something. I mean, that could have been a good way to reintroduce them, but we didn't get that.
I don't know. Well, maybe it'll make sense, during the middle of the next season when Roland shows back up and has some huge role. But like right now, his introduction in one of the 4 episodes we have left of the whole show is like kind of dumb. I mean, I don't really know why we're here. It feels out of place and awkward, and I just don't really care about it. You know what I mean? Like,
it is that tough bit, because we get to the part in every Star Wars season where how many episodes are left, and you're already like being like, I'm almost out of Mandalorian. I'm almost out of Bad Batch, and like the episodes just get a little more important. And because we've had 16 episodes, this is like the last 25% of the season now, So we only have 3 left, and we know the next one is called Ord Mantell, which assumes that that's the Crosshair plot. But because they introduced literally the Crosshair plot in episode 1,
Right.
I feel like there's been a lot less of it throughout the season than I thought there would be.
Yeah.
And having this episode here with no mention of Rebellion or Crosshair or anything definitely seemed odd.
Yeah, I mean, even as we're getting towards the end of the show, there really isn't a in my opinion, super great like single storyline that's gone through this entire show. I mean, it's been a lot of just random, I hate to say filler episodes, like of just not much is really happening. Like, what's really the point of this? Like, it feels like a season 1 of a TV show. So, I hope that it shapes up a little bit better towards the end of the show. And I hate we're being so negative about it. I mean, we love the show. This is the first. I think if this episode had existed, 4 or 5 episodes ago, I think I would have been fine. I wouldn't really care that much. But it feels like it's a little bit of wasted potential. I feel like this close to the end.
And I think we'd still agree on average, this is still probably the best first season of a Star Wars animated project. And
for sure.
This doesn't take away from the quality of the craft that went into making it for sure. But like you said, we're pretty positive folks. That's what we like to do. And I still think that there's stuff to appreciate about this one. But the fact that we're like, not the best is
one thing I did notice. Let's say positive note here.
Let's do that.
Is when they landed their ship, and I thought to myself, I was like, there's going to be a lot of ships, and they don't look like they have a lot of spots to land. But apparently, they have this one spot where they land and it's open. But once they get off, the ramp lands, and the ramp is smooth, and then the steps like elevate a little bit as steps instead of being a smooth ramp down. I was like, I never noticed that, and I was like, that's pretty cool animation to add in there. Probably.
I did like that.
And then it was very Indiana Jones with the cards for me, not Donkey Kong. I was thinking Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. The crossover we've been waiting for, the Donkey Kong Indiana Jones movie.
I was a pretty big fan of those guard guys that we've seen in the helmets.
They look really cool.
Yeah, I guess they must be. I assume they're humans, or I guess some other bipedal alien.
Humanoid, at least. Yeah,
humanoid. Those
cool
are pretty
helmets.
interesting. Yeah, they have cool helmets. They obviously work for the Pikes, but they're not like the Pike species. What's the Pike species? But is it Pikes? Is that what
I think Pikes are this species because they have like.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Pike
I think they are.
I don't know. Yeah, interesting question.
No, I did like that, and
they're sentient humanoids. So
okay.
Yeah, Pikes are Pikes.
Yeah, Pikes are Pikes. Pikes are Pikes, and Pikes is Pikes. Drew in the chat, I totally agree with what you're saying. He says, it's pretty clear to me there's going to be more seasons. 3 makes sense to me. That sounds good. I mean, ultimately, whatever they're going to make, it's going to be brass tacks, whatever keeps making them money. I've been a little concerned that on the days that Bad Batch comes out, like it takes a bit to find it on the banner of Disney Plus.
Yeah, what's up with
that? It's not
like...
I'm guessing Loki was the most popular thing, I think, ever on that whole series, which makes sense. But like they've been putting out, I think, a few more original movies and things like on it. But I do wonder if, as the season has gone on, how retention has been. Like, obviously, we're watching all of them. The community we are in is watching all of them. But it seems like, I don't know, maybe the longer season, it's hard to like maintain the fervor. So yeah, we'll see.
It doesn't feel like that's a good sign at all. I've also noticed that. No. I mean, it was like 7 in the list this time.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I watched it yesterday, and it was pretty deep. I was like, it is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is that.
Is it faster to go through the Star Wars area, or is it faster to go through the banner? If you have to ask that question, it's a little concerning.
It's not the best idea. I mean, I do think that they'll keep going. I think that we're gonna have one Star Wars animation project at a time. That's been pretty consistent since Disney took over. I don't think that's going anywhere. But after this, we get Ronin, which I think will be a really cool hit that is totally different. And then we'll get Book of Boba Fett. And then, we'll always get something. And I think there'll be at least 2 seasons. But I think that if season 2 doesn't perform as well, because let's be real, if they're doing season 2, that has to be almost done being made now. In order for it to be like released anytime soon. The banner is a bit worrisome.
How many episodes do you think a season 2 would be? Same amount, or I think they're gonna lessen the episodes.
I think 12.
Yeah.
I think 12 is a fine one, Blind Fates asked a question for us in the chat. It says, do you think the Bad Batch is gonna get an ultimate goal at the end of the season?
Well, I thought so. But here we are, 4 episodes from the end, and we got nothing. So,
Yeah, I think we got to get Crosshair back into the batch in the finale. I think that we got to reunite the full squad. I don't think that he's going to remain a villain for a season 2. Personally, I mean, if he does, all right, we'll see what happens. But I think that they will let that be kind of the quote unquote arc of season 1 is getting him back into the fold. And I think the ultimate goal they could get to catapult him into season 2 is, I mean, I feel that, Corey. I had all these ideas, but now I have questioned it the last few weeks. I think that joining the rebellion seems like an obvious thing.
3 episodes? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the same. And the same with like finding out Omega's like secret. Why is she so like popular, right?
The bounty hunters are still out there. I forget that. We talked about them. I already forgot about it.
There's so much that they could
a lot of loose ends
to throw in. Yeah. So obvious. So this, like what you said, was obviously going to be a season 2 to help us bridge those gaps in information. But are we going to get a payoff on one of those? Is it going to be Crosshair? Is it going to be Omega?
I'm certainly going to have to go into the next week with lower expectations. I think. I mean, because we talk about managing expectations a lot, but like this is turning out to be especially true with the show. I think I'm just going to have to not expect anything to really happen. That everything's going to happen in season 2, I think, is what I'm going to have to just assume. So I don't know. I hope we find out pretty soon if there's going to be a season 2. Maybe they'll just do it at the very end, like what they did with Loki, with like Bad Batch will return for season 2. You know,
that'd be cool, and I think that's definitely possible. I also think it's interesting that I was talking with our friends in Star Wars Sessions earlier today about this, that the shows are in a weird place, right? Because the book, it used to be the films did the main stuff, and then the books would fill in everything. And then the comics would fill in some stuff. And now the shows have, like, Mandalorian changed the game, I think, for everything. Like, it's so popular. They made so much money that I think now they're kind of holding off on allowing the books to fill in those stories. So, like, I think that in the old days, maybe we would have gotten a comic series or a book about the Bad Batch to fill in some Omega stuff. And now I think they have to wait to see if it's popular enough, because if they're going to tell the story, they want to do it on screen, because 90+% of people watching these shows aren't reading the auxiliary material.
Well, it looks like, the books they decided to try this new strategy, which is like, let's let every media type just carve out their own little niche. And like, books and comics and everything is full High Republic right now. And it's going to be like that for the foreseeable future. It feels like
it's working. Like the sales are showing that's working.
Right. So, I do have to say it's pretty exhausting. We were talking about this. It's just like, there's like so much Star Wars. We originally started Mutiny to like help the average Joe, like, pick up the books and get in them for the first time. And like, but if you want to keep up with everything, like, holy crap, I'm like barely hanging on for dear life here. And
it's like, a lifestyle now. Yeah.
We feel like the average Joe now. Like as a Utinian.
Yes. Yes. So it's just, it's a lot. There's a lot of Star Wars content. I mean, I never thought in my life I would be complaining in a weird way. I feel like I am kind of complaining about like there is like too much Star Wars. Is that possible? We had that episode a while back. We all came to the conclusion we don't think there is too much Star Wars, but I think me personally, I'm going to have to like draw a line somewhere of like, this is just how much I'm willing to like, I'm able to contribute and consume because there's just so much stuff. Like, I think I've kind of given up on comics. I just don't think I'm going to be able to keep up with them. I'm going to continue my subscriptions and I'm going to try to catch up at least with the High Republic Adventures and stuff, because that stuff is so like tight in.
Well, and also the good thing about those, you can like have a day. You've had days in the past too, and I know a lot of our viewers and listeners and people will do this. Like, you have a day where you're like, I'm just gonna read 30 comics, and like
I know, and
that's a good day.
And it goes fast too, right? The comics can go pretty quick. You get a couple hours, you can blow through a bunch of them. So that's nice. So we'll see, man. I don't know what's gonna happen with the show. I don't know if there's gonna be a season 2, when that would be. You think it would be next year? Do we have anything slotted for the spring right now?
Not yet.
I don't think we do.
I don't know how long Book of Boba Fett is, though. Because that's going to start, I think, in December.
Okay. I guess that could be the spring show then.
We need some dates. That's the thing. I just like... And, we're in this weird space, too, because after we get all these books now, we have pretty large gaps after Out of the Shadows, which comes out Tuesday, everybody. But after that, we have Ronin coming out in September, and then like Thrawn and Queen's Hope come out in November. But we'll have a while where there's no Star Wars show and no Star Wars books for like 2 months or so. Which is, oh my God, as I say it, right, I hear it.
That's right. It's like, oh my God, that is so long. But like in the past, we had like a year we didn't have stuff.
And that was like 13 years, and they're like, shut up.
I know.
You don't even know.
It's nuts. It's just crazy.
What if during Ronin they make a Bad Batch tie-in, and that's when they tell us about season 2, like the end of something? They don't tell us at the end of this season, but they tell us in a different animated series or a different show. It'd have to be an animated series. It'd have to be just to tie it in. Yeah.
I mean,
there's a couple really good points in the chat here. Blind Fate said Bad Batch is in kind of that weird limbo when you graduate from school but haven't started looking for a job yet. Yeah,
that's totally what they've done. They paid off their student loans, but they don't really know what to do.
What's that like?
Wouldn't know.
Drew you Link, find a whiz kid.
Drew Link also he had a comment too. He said, "I really just hope we can all shake our heads and chuckle at the end of the season finale like they had this whole time." Like, yeah, I mean, I hope we get some good conclusion, some closure, if you will, at the end of the show.
Yeah,
and I imagine we will get something. Something will be closed. I don't think we have enough time to tie up all the loose ends, but I could be wrong. I mean,
could
be wrong.
It's 3 episodes. I think like the shows always have pretty good finales. Like regardless, even if they're 1 part, 2 part, something major usually happens, and they're usually pretty satisfying. So I'm excited about it. And it's weird, you know, as you all can tell watching and listening. Like this is odd for us to not really dig an episode, but I think this is a cool introduction. Not introduction, but a cool analyzation of the way you cannot love every single thing that happens, as we are sometimes accused of doing, but you can also approve of something as a whole. And I think that Bad Batch is still been a very successful experiment, and I think that you're right, Corey, going the next week, lower the bar a little bit and just kind of, you know, see what happens. Maybe we leave Ord Mantell. I dig it. I'm good with it. I've seen a lot of Ord Mantell. I get what it's about. But I was gonna say any other kind of last thoughts as we wind up our most critical episode of Bounty Hunt maybe ever.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, the only thing I can think is they have a lot. They have a lot that they can work with now in the last 3 episodes, right? Because we didn't get any of the bounty hunters. We didn't get any Omega origin story. We didn't get like Crosshair coming back to the fold. So they have a lot to pick from. So I think is a good gamble that it's going to be a better episode than this one.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's fair. Completely agreed. And we will be here for it. As a reminder to all of you, as we said, we had a long weekend this weekend, and we're here for Bounty Hunt. We will be awake next week for a great episode of Bounty Hunt. And for all of you watching now, as a reminder, next day, tomorrow, oh my goodness, tomorrow, the day that is tomorrow, we'll be doing our part 1 of our Rising Storm Roundtable. This has been the most discussed book probably ever in our Discord server. On Twitter, as far as I've seen, it is a New York Times bestseller. We'll also briefly be talking about the High Republic Wave 3 announcements that happened this week at the beginning of tomorrow night's show. We'll just be catching you up on the titles and the authors that are going to be coming our way in January. So make sure you come around tomorrow night. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern, as always. We will see you there for that. But on that, that'll do it for this week's episode of Bounty Hunt. Keep your eyes out for our next hunt, where we will be diving into episode 14 of The Bad Batch. A special thank you goes out to Cheryl Bell, OK Endar, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for your amazing support that makes shows like these possible. Go ahead and tell us all your thoughts about The Bad Batch. Tell us if we're wrong about this one. Over in our Discord community at utini.com/Discord. Keep using those spoiler tags. And you can follow our main show on Twitter at LivingForcePod and at utini_US. And all of us individually for our thoughts on all things Star Wars. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Wes is at Boss Wes. And Charles is moving, but is also C. Hankel. Until next time, it'll be better next time. Yeah.